Hello, and welcome to this video series on the Power BI Adoption Framework, which is about empowering every decision maker. I'm Paul.
And I'm Manu.
And in this video, we will talk about how to manage the various parts of Power BI. The Power BI Admin Portal enables you to manage the Power BI tenant for your organization. The portal includes items such as usage metrics, access to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and settings. The first thing that you will need to do is get access to the admin portal and those tenant settings. To do so, you will need to be a global administrator within Office 365 or Azure Active Directory, or have been assigned the Power BI Service Administrator role. There are various tenant settings in the admin portal, and these give you more control over what features are made available to your organization. If you have concerns around sensitive data, some of the default settings may not be right for your organization, or you may only want a given feature to be available to a specific set of users. The admin portal is used to change the various tenant settings available, from sharing to visualizations to audit and developer settings. Most tenant settings have three states available to them. You can disable a feature and make it so users will not be able to use it at all. You can enable a feature for the entire organization, which will let all users have access to that feature. You can also enable a feature at security group level, which means you can have a subset of users who can use this feature. This can happen in a few different ways. You can enable it for the entire organization except for a specific set of users, or you could enable the feature only for a specific group of users, and even disable it for another group of users. This would make sure that certain users don't have access to the feature even if they're in that allowed group, which means the disable overwrites the enabled. As I go through each of the tenant settings, I will highlight which settings can be controlled at group level and which settings have to either be on or off for the entire organization. This level of control can potentially change in the future. Power BI has links in the menu for help, support, and licensing. With these feature settings, you can customize those links for Learn, Community, and Get Help to point at websites specific to your organization. It's also possible to specify URL to direct users to a custom solution for licensing requests. You can also enable security groups to receive email notifications if the tenant is impacted by a severe outage or incident. All of these settings can be controlled at group level and are disabled by default because they are custom links for your organization. Admins can use the Create Workspaces setting to indicate which users in the organization can create app workspaces to collaborate on dashboards, reports, and other content. They can also control whether datasets can be used across workspaces. These features can be controlled at group level and are enabled by default, which means all users can use both of these features. The admin portal also has another section of settings about the workspaces in your tenant. In that section, you can sort and filter the list of workspaces and display the details for each workspace. There are a number of settings that relate to exporting and sharing in Power BI. You can control whether users can export to PowerPoint, PDF, or print their reports. These features can be controlled at group level and are enabled by default. You can also control whether your users can configure email subscriptions for reports. This feature can be controlled at organizational level only and is enabled by default. Your organization can also certify datasets that are the authoritative source for business critical information. These datasets are featured prominently when report designers start creating a report and are looking for a reliable dataset. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default, as you will need to specify which users can certify these datasets. You can control whether users can share dashboards and reports with users outside of your organization. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. By default, external users only have the ability to view content. With this setting, you can allow external users to edit and manage content in your tenant as well. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default. If enabled, it is recommended that you control this at group level, controlling which external users can edit content. Please note, for external sharing to work, as your Active Directory business to business or B2B needs to be enabled. With Power BI Publish to Web, you can easily embed interactive Power BI visualizations online, such as in blog posts, websites, through emails or social media on any device. When you use Publish to Web, the report or visual you publish can be viewed by anyone on the internet. There is no authentication used when viewing these reports. Only use Publish to Web with reports and data that anyone on the internet should be able to see. Before publishing this report, ensure you have the right to share the data and visualizations publicly. Do not publish confidential or proprietary information. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default and can be disabled. It is very common to limit this feature to a small set of users in your organization. With the export data settings, you can control whether users can export data to Excel at a visualization or a dataset level. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. In Power BI, you can create apps to bring related dashboards and reports together all in one place, and then publish them to large groups of people in your organization. You can control whether users have the ability to share with the entire organization with a single click, or if they need to specify one or more groups that they want to share with. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. Power BI template apps enable users to build Power BI apps with little or no coding and deploy them to users in your organization. Users can connect to the apps and specify parameters relevant to them. This will create a personalized copy of the app content for their consumption. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default. With push apps enabled, you can automatically install apps in the app content list for users, rather than the user having to find the app in Microsoft App Source or follow an installation link. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default. If you enable this feature, we recommend to limit this to a set of users, because if too many apps are pre-installed for a user, this may diminish their value. There are times when you may want to use Excel to view and interact with the dataset that you have in Power BI. With the Analyze in Excel feature, you can do just that, and access pivot table, chart, and slicer features in Excel based on a dataset that resides in Power BI. With this option, administrators can disable the use of Analyze in Excel with on-premises datasets. When that option is disabled, Analyze in Excel is disabled for analysis services databases, but continues to be available for use with other data sources. To disable this feature for all datasets and data sources, you will also need to disable the Export Data option. The combination of ArcGIS maps and Power BI takes mapping beyond the presentation of points on a map to a whole new level. Choose from base maps, location types, themes, symbol styles, and reference layers to create informative map visualizations. The combination of authoritative data layers on a map with spatial analysis conveys a deep understanding of the data in your visualization. ArcGIS Maps for Power BI is provided by Esri. Your use of ArcGIS Maps for Power BI is subject to Esri's terms and privacy policy. Power BI users wishing to use the ArcGIS Maps need to accept the consent dialog when they first use it. Users in the organization can use external search features that rely on Azure Search. For example, users can use Cortana to retrieve key information directly from Power BI dashboards and reports. All of these features shown on the screen here can be controlled at group level and are enabled by default. When creating or editing a Power BI report, there are many different types of visuals available for you to use. These visuals display in the Visualizations pane, and when you download Power BI Desktop or open the Power BI service, this set of visuals come pre-packaged. but you're not limited to this set of visuals. Selecting the ellipsis opens up another source of report visuals called custom visuals. Custom visuals are created by developers using the Custom Visuals SDK to enable business users to see their data in a way that fits the business best. Report authors can then import the custom visual files into their report and use them as any other Power BI visual. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. A custom visual could contain code with security or privacy risks. Make sure you trust the author and the source of the custom visual before importing it into your report. Power BI certified visuals are marketplace visuals that have passed additional rigorous testing for quality and are supported in additional scenarios such as email subscriptions and export to PowerPoint. This feature can be controlled at organizational level only and is disabled by default, meaning you can use all custom visuals. Power BI admins can deploy custom visuals into their organization so that report authors can easily discover and use the custom visuals that the admin has approved for use inside their organization. This gives the admin the control to choose specific custom visuals to deploy, as well as an easy way to manage, update versions, disable, enable those visuals. For the report author, it is an easy way to discover visuals that are unique to the organization, as well as a seamless support for updating those visuals. The admin portal has another section of settings to manage the organizational visuals in your tenant. The Power BI service supports viewing and interacting with visuals created with R scripts. Visuals created with R scripts can present advanced data shaping and analytics, such as forecasting, using the rich analytics and visualization power of R. This feature can be controlled at organizational level only and is enabled by default. Your organization can use auditing to monitor actions taken in Power BI by users in your organization. Power BI audit logs are now always available for tenants that have enabled recording user and admin activity in the Office 365 admin portal. If you create dashboards and reports, usage metrics help you understand their impact. When you run either dashboard or report usage metrics, you discover how those dashboards and reports are being used throughout your organization. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. Disabling this will stop the logging of all workspace level usage metrics. I'll explain in more detail about usage metrics in the following section. When you go to dashboard or report usage metrics, you'll also see a breakdown of the number of views by user. The report includes the display name and login names of your end users. As an IT admin, we understand you may be tasked with ensuring that Power BI remains compliant with a variety of regulations and standards. IT admins have further control over which users in your organization can take advantage of this user-level usage metrics. The usage metrics admin control is Granular, allowing you to enable usage metrics for a subset of your organization, and is enabled by default. Power BI offers APIs for embedding your dashboard and reports into applications. There are two main scenarios when embedding Power BI content: embedding for users in your organization and embedding for your users and customers. Examples of embedding for your organization include internal web applications, SharePoint Online Web Part, or Microsoft Teams integration. An example of embedding for your customer is an ISV application being sold to other companies. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. Service Principal is beneficial when using Power BI Embedded or when automating Power BI tasks and processes. When working with Power BI Embedded, there are advantages when using Service Principal. A primary advantage is you don't need a master account with a Power BI Pro license that's merely a username and password to authenticate for your application. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default. We would recommend turning this on for people who would develop custom applications. The Power BI admin portal also has another section for administering embed codes. As an administrator, you can view the embedded codes that are generated for your tenants. You can also revoke or delete these codes. Power BI template apps enable partners to build Power BI apps with little or no coding. and deploy them to any Power BI customer. You build template apps that allow your customers to connect and instantiate with their own accounts. As domain experts, they can unlock the data in a way that's easily consumable by their business users. You can submit your template apps to the Cloud Partner Portal, and the apps then become publicly available in the Power BI App Gallery and on Microsoft AppSource. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. Users in your organization can download and install template apps only from AppSource. With this setting, you can control which specific users or security groups can install template apps from AppSource. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. You can also control which users in your organization can download and install template apps that are not listed in AppSource, which they have been sent a link to open. This feature can be controlled at group level and is disabled by default. Every dashboard is different, and depending on the data source you're connecting to, you will likely find that you and the colleagues you share with will need to take different precautions depending on the sensitivity of the data. Some dashboards should never be shared with those users outside of your organization or printed out, while others can be shared freely. By using dashboard data classifications, you'll be able to raise awareness with those viewing your dashboards about what level of security should be used. You can tag your dashboards with your classifications defined by your company's IT department, so everyone viewing the content will have the same level of understanding around the sensitivity of the data. This feature can be controlled at organizational level only and is disabled by default because you need to define the classifications for your organization. Sometimes, the fastest way to get an answer from your data is to ask a question using natural language. For example, what were total sales last year? The Q&A feature in Power BI lets you explore your data in your own words. With this feature, you can review the words users have searched in Q&A to fine-tune the response. You can create definitions or synonyms to fix previously unsuccessful searches, improving the experience for those using Q&A. This feature can be controlled at group level and is enabled by default. Power BI introduces data flows to help organizations unify data from disparate sources and prepare it for modeling. Analysts can easily create data flows using familiar self-service tools. Data flows are used to ingest, transform, integrate, and enrich big data by defining data source connections, ETL logic, refresh schedules, and more. In addition, the new model-driven calculations engine that's part of data flows makes the process of data preparation more manageable, more deterministic, and less cumbersome for data analysts and report creators alike. This feature can be controlled at organizational level only and is enabled by default. The Power BI admin portal also has another section for administering the data flow settings. By default, data used with Power BI is stored in internal storage provided by Power BI. With the integration of data flows and Azure Data Lake Generation 2, you can store your data flows in your organization's Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 account. You should discuss each of the tenant settings, agree on its configuration, and document this. Think about what roles will need to use which setting, as this will be discussed during the role section, which might result in amendments here. When reviewing the tenant settings, it is advisable to open the admin portal and look at how they're currently configured for your organization. You can then take a note of what settings need to be changed after this portion of the workshop is complete. As well as deciding on what the tenant settings are going to be set to, you need to decide who will administer the Power BI tenant. Typically, we see this done by Office 365 administrators, BI development teams, or the support team for the Power BI tenant. As an administrator, you can customize the look and feel of Power BI for your organization. Custom branding lets you change the theme color that appears in the top navigation bar, add your company logo, and bring your default landing page to life by adding a cover image. The first tab in the admin portal is Usage Metrics. The Usage Metrics reports give the ability to monitor usage within Power BI for your organization. It also provides the ability to see which users and groups are the most active within Power BI. Once the dashboard loads, you will see two sections of tiles. The first section includes usage data for individual users, and the second section has similar information for groups in your organization. With this information, you'll be able to get real insights into how people are using Power BI across your organization, and be able to recognize those users and groups who are very active. These metrics are only available to the Power BI administrators. If you create dashboards and reports, usage metrics help you understand their impact. When you run either dashboard usage metrics or report usage metrics, you discover how those dashboards and reports are being used throughout your organization. What's being used, by whom. These usage metrics reports are read-only. However, you can personalize a usage metrics report by using Save As. This creates a brand new dataset and converts the read-only report to have access to usage metrics for all dashboards or all reports in the selected workspace. These reports are available to the content creators for the workspace, the people that have edit access. To access the auditing section of the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center, you must either be a global admin or have an Exchange admin role that provides access to the audit log. If you have access to the audit log but are not a global admin or Power BI service administrator, you will not have access to the Power BI admin portal. In this case, you must get a direct link to the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center. You can filter the audit data by date range, user, dashboard, report, dataset, and activity type. You can also download the activities in a CSV file to analyze offline. There are a lot of activities that are written to the audit log, some of which are included on this slide, including when somebody views, creates, edits, deletes, shares, prints, or exports a dashboard or report, as well as creation, installation, and updating of apps, usage of gateways, changes in tenant settings, and Power BI Pro trial sign-up, just to name a few. If you want to use the audit data, then you will need to look at backing up the data to another source, as it's only stored for 90 days. You need to consider who will be responsible for backing up of the audit data, where this backup will be stored, how this will be automated, who will create the reports, and what reports are required. All of these points should be discussed and decided upon. On this slide, we have highlighted some of the options for each of these stages. Please feel free to pause the recording to have a read through the options, and we've included links to some of those options in the description below.
Before we start talking about enterprise gateways, we start with asking the question if the organization does have a requirement to connect to on-premises data sources. Because if the answer is no, then this section would not be relevant. And if the answer is yes, then it will be very relevant. Let's start with defining an on-premises data gateway. A gateway is software that facilitates access to data that resides on a private on-premises network for subsequent use in a cloud service like Power BI. It's like a gatekeeper that listens for connection requests and grants them only when a user's requests meet certain criteria, such as whether they are allowed to use the gateway. This lets organizations leave databases and data warehouses on their on-premises networks, yet securely use subsets of that data and create compelling reports and dashboards in Power BI. A gateway also secures access and data by encrypting and compressing all the data that passes through it, as well as any passwords used to connect to data sources. There are three parts or stages to putting a gateway to work. Install the gateway, add users to the gateway to let them use the gateway, and connect to data sources. The download icon in the upper right corner in the Power BI service allows you to download the installation files for an on-premises gateway. This screen gives you an ultra-condensed explanation of what a gateway does. It also provides a couple of important pieces of information. This page inside the Power BI service canvas allows you to manage your gateways. Data source connections and user access are also managed via the Power BI service. There are a number of installation considerations when deploying an on-premises gateway. The number of users consuming a report that's using the gateway is a very important metric in deciding where to install the gateway. Here are a few questions to consider. Are users going to use these reports at different times of the day? What type of connections are they going to use? Will it be direct query or import? Are all users using the same report? If all users are accessing a given report at the same time each day, you'd like to make sure that you install the gateway on a machine that's capable of handling all the requests. There's a constraint in Power BI that allows only one gateway per report. So even if a report is based on multiple data sources, all such data sources must go through a single gateway. However, if a dashboard is based on multiple reports, you can use a dedicated gateway for each contributing report, and thereby distribute the gateway load amongst those multiple reports that contribute to the single dashboard. Power BI offers two types of connections, direct query and import. Not all data sources support both connection types, and many reasons may contribute to choosing one over the other, such as security requirements, performance, data limits, and data model sizes. Depending on which type of connection you use, gateway usage can be different. For example, you should try to separate direct query data sources from scheduled data refresh sources where possible. Doing so prevents the gateway from having thousands of direct query requests queued up at the same time as the morning's scheduled refresh of a large size data model that's used for the company's main dashboard. The location of the gateway installation can have significant impact on your query performance. So try to make sure that your gateway, your data source locations, and the Power BI tenant are as close as possible to each other to minimize the network latency. There are a few tools that you can use to monitor the use and performance of your installed gateways. There are many performance counters that can be used to evaluate and assess activity occurring on the gateway. The counters can help you understand whether you have large volumes of activity by a specific type, which may prompt you to deploy a new gateway. The gateway counter, in addition to your machine's counters, provides you with an idea of how much load your machine is currently handling and can provide an indication of whether the server resource capacity is becoming stretched or exceeded. These counters can be accessed from the Windows Performance Monitor and can be consumed by any reporting tools that you use for this purpose. Configuration and service logs provide another dimension on what's happening with your gateway. Always check your gateway logs when your connection is not working as expected, as not all error messages are surfaced on the Power BI service. An easy way to view all log files on your machine is to use the Export Logs button on the on-premises data gateway when you reopen the gateway after the installation is complete, and then select Diagnostics Export Logs. By default, the gateway performs basic logging. If you're investigating gateway issues and need more information about query connection details, you can temporarily enable verbose logging to gather additional log information. To do this, in the installed gateway, select Diagnostics, Additional Logging. You can recover your existing gateway or move it to a new machine using the recovery key. The recovery key is provided to the user who installs the gateway, and it cannot be changed later. The recovery key is used both for data encryption and gateway recovery. At this stage, you should discuss who will be responsible for administering and monitoring the gateways. It is very unlikely that this will be a 2-minute discussion. Having said that, the key options you have are Office 365 administrators, BI team, or a support team. The organization may have offices across the globe and may have data centers in multiple locations. So a very important question to ask is, where will the gateways be installed and how will they be configured? We've provided a very detailed list of the steps that you need to go through in order to install the gateways and configure them on this slide. Please feel free to pause the video at this stage and review the steps. You can always access the slides later as well. This section is only relevant if you're planning to use Power BI Premium. So please have a discussion and then document these steps along with any other additional steps that you need to take in your Power BI adoption plan. Capacity is a set of resources reserved for the exclusive use by your organization. Having capacity allows you to publish dashboards, reports, and data sets to users throughout your organization without having to purchase licenses for them. It also guarantees dependable and consistent performance for the contents hosted in the capacity. Capacity is transparent to your end users. They will continue to use Power BI or your application as usual. They don't have to be aware that some or all of the content is hosted in your dedicated capacity. To take advantage of dedicated capacity, you will need to purchase a subscription for Power BI Premium within the Office 365 Admin Center or create a Power BI embedded resource within the Microsoft Azure portal. When you purchase Power BI Premium SKUs, your tenant will receive the corresponding number of virtual cores for use in running capacities. For example, purchasing a Power BI Premium P3 SKU provides the tenant with 32 virtual cores. When you are assigned as a capacity admin to a capacity, you have full control over the capacity and its administrative features. From the Power BI admin portal, you can add more capacity admins or give users capacity management permissions. You can bulk assign workspaces to a capacity and view usage metrics on a capacity. Each capacity has its own admins. Defining a capacity admin to one capacity does not give them access to all the capacities within your organization. Capacity admins do not have access to all Power BI admin areas by default, such as usage metrics, audit logs, or tenant settings. Capacity admins also do not have permissions to set up new capacities or change the SKU of existing capacities. Only global admins or Power BI service administrators have access to those. After you have purchased capacity nodes within Office 365, you will then need to set up a new capacity. This is done through the Power BI admin portal. Within the admin portal, you will see a section called Capacity Settings. This is where you will manage Power BI Premium capacities for your organization. The number of virtual cores will reflect the amount used and the amount available to create capacities with. The amount of virtual cores available to your organization is based on the premium SKUs that you have purchased. For example, purchasing a P3 and a P2 would result in 48 available cores, 32 from the P3 and 16 from the P2. When you set up a new capacity, you can choose from the available cores, give the capacity a name, and specify the capacity admins. You can assign additional capacity admins for Power BI Premium capacities. Users that have assignment permissions can assign an app workspace to the capacity if they are an admin of that workspace. They can also assign their personal My Workspace to the capacity. In this slide, we've summarized how you can potentially optimize the use of your Power BI Premium capacity. This is based on a mature implementation. During the initial rollout, it is likely that there will be only one premium node. Once a second node is required due to all the resources being used, separate the heavy or important reports into one node and the rest into another. The next question your organization needs to answer is, how will you purchase and configure your premium nodes? We've provided a summary of the various considerations on this slide, so please have a discussion about these points and document your responses in terms of how you'll purchase and configure your premium nodes. For each capacity, you will be able to see usage measurements for CPU, memory, and direct query. Each KPI has three indicators: good, which is green, marginal, which is yellow, and critical, which is red. We suggest monitoring these metrics to ensure that your users see good performance while using premium content. You can monitor the CPU usage of your cores, the memory utilization of your backend cores. Specifically, there is a metric of how often models are evicted from memory due to memory pressure from usage of multiple models. We limit the total number of direct query and live connection queries per second. The limits are 30 per second for P1, 60 per second for P2, and 120 per second for P3. Direct query and live connection queries count equally to the throttle. For example, if you have 15 direct queries and 15 live queries in a second, you hit the throttle. This applies equally to on-premises and cloud connections. When these metrics are marginal or critical, your users may see degradation of report and refresh performance, especially during peak load times. Metrics reflect utilization over the past week and are designed to count instances when the capacity is overloaded and is therefore providing less than optimal performance for your users. Each occurrence of utilization over 80% should be considered a potential case of performance degradation. Too many cases is a good indicator of significant performance problems for users. At this point, you should have a discussion about how you will monitor your Power BI Premium nodes. We've provided a list of bullet points in terms of the steps, so please go through these steps and discuss whether you want to follow these steps as they are, or if you want to make slight changes for your organization, and then please document these. We have included a link to the slides that we've used in this presentation in the description below. Thanks for listening, and if you have any feedback or questions, please leave a comment below. See you in the next one.